Speaking of Michigan, what's up? What do you think is a fair? Michigan is still a top 25 team.
Yes.
For now.
Michigan's still a top 20 team.
For now.
It gets really grimy between 20 and 25. I'll go ahead and give you a preview of that. You don't want to be.
Are you keeping them ahead of Oklahoma?
Man,
Oklahoma looked terrible.
I dropped Oklahoma behind LSU. So it's like, the way that I did it, I dropped
LSU
Notre Dame.
Terrible.
No, they got it together. It was
like, did they get it together against Nichols? It was a 3-point
they won
game.
By what, 30?
Yeah,
I guess
they scored 21 unanswered when the game was tight in the very first drive of the third quarter. They got tested and they hit the gas. I respect that. You know, I don't know if voters do, but I've got Michigan down at 16. I've got Notre Dame at 15 and LSU at 17, Oklahoma 18. So I am putting 3 teams with a loss ahead of Oklahoma. Because Oklahoma, by Brent Venable's own words, deserve to lose. Yeah, we probably deserve to lose today.
I mean, did you see what their offense did?
Yeah, nothing.
Less than 250 yards against Houston.
Yeah, the offensive line is a serious issue.
They're also like out of receivers because Burks got hurt too.
He was in there late in the fourth quarter, though.
He came back?
Yeah, he was playing late.
Okay. All right.
But no, they can't block. They've got a young quarterback who is already getting like little signs of shell shock. It's not a great situation.
So who comes to town next week or 2 weeks?
What,
2
Tennessee?
Weeks, right? Yeah.
Tennessee does in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, I think.
2 weeks.
Yeah, Tennessee's got another kind of patsy game next week.
Yeah, Josh Heupel in Norman. All right, what's our level of from a former Big 12 team to a couple of Big 12? Let's go ahead and just hit these 3 teams. So in my projections, I've got Utah sitting there at number 9, though we are obviously concerned about Cam Rising's hand. Kyle Whittingham says it is, quote, not serious, but I will note that the offense did not score a daggum point after he left the game. So
Kyle Whittingham says it's not serious, so he's out for the rest of the year. That's what last year taught me.
I would say, like, on the scale of football coaches I trust to tell the truth about injuries, Troy Calhoun is like far and away the one I would never ever trust. And then there's probably a couple guys I think are pretty honest about it, but like Whittingham's a little more over here, like towards the Calhoun side, I think. So we'll monitor the situation.
So he had bandages on the 2 middle fingers. Yeah. He saw some people in the stands, was giving them like a thumbs up. It's his throwing hand, but we'll see.
That's when Kyle Whittingham's going to retire, by the way, when the Big 12 passes the injury report rule. Kyle's going to be like, I'm out. I'm done.
I'm out, yeah. I mean, that's just like a jammed finger. You're running out of bounds. You put your hands out in front of you, right?
Apparently it was a laceration from what I saw. So he's got like his finger.
If they were playing somebody who actually could threaten them and score points, like, are we thinking he comes back in the game?
Probably.
Oh, yeah. Like if they're playing Kansas, if this is Utah,
right.
Utah and Kansas State won't play this year in the regular season. If this was Utah, Kansas State, he would have come back.
Like, that's your bad beat of the day. If you bet Utah and laid this, yeah. I mean, dude, like, that is ridiculous. That should have been a rocking chair easy. They were up, what, 23-0?
Yeah.
Chip, do you think Cam Rising needs to toughen up and that he owes you an apology?
Baylor had negative yards for like a large portion of the first half.
And Daquan Finn was running for his life and getting slammed into the ground.
Yeah.
He looked bad.
With Rising in there, Utah showed a level tonight that I have not seen any Big 12 team come close to playing with through about 8 or 12 quarters of football so far this year. Like, if he is healthy, there's a good chance that Utah is a real level above the rest of this league.
How about this? I'm going to talk your language, bud. I would not power rate Utah as a top 4 team, but they have a team where it would not shock me to see them in the semifinals.
Yes. Okay. Having to go to play Utah at Utah is really not easy. Like, if they were
the Big 12 champ, it would be a neutral site. But I'm just saying that, like, they've got kind of team where
they could match up well with a lot of good teams.
Right. Other good team, first Utah, they could go win a game.
And you've got the experience of a 40-year-old quarterback.
Because he's in the same recruiting class as Trevor Lawrence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a freshman in 18.
Crazy.
What was the tweet from our Shahan Jayaraja? He said that he covered the game where Cam Rising. Oh God, it was just like Cliff was coaching Texas Tech, and he was naming all these lists of these dudes who like haven't been in the sport in like a decade who were involved in that game.
Nuts. All right. Yeah, so I've got Utah moving up to number 9. That's up 2 spots. A nice little bump up for Miami as well. All the shakeup that really comes from the losses for Notre Dame and Michigan. I've got Ole Miss jumping ahead of Alabama. I know that final score was going to look one way, but wasn't the whole college football world like, oh my gosh, are they going to lose on Nick Saban Day? I mean, that was enough. I know that we're so plugged in, but that felt like enough of a moment in a college football Saturday. It would have gotten the attention of enough voters to at least consider.
I don't know if they will. I think there's a lot of voters who'll just wake up and see that Alabama won by 26.
Yeah, I tend to agree. They'll also just let the next 2 weeks handle it, right? Ole Miss plays, well, they're at Wake Forest, and they host Georgia Southern, and then they host Kentucky, and then they go to South Carolina. So they have like a crazy easy schedule.
But Alabama did not look good.
Right, but I think they'll probably just leave Bama where they are. If Bama goes on the road and handles business against Wisconsin, then Bama will continue to stay where they are. If they struggle or lose, then they will drop down.
Well, Wisconsin is.
I will make the prediction that Bama will go on the road and handle business against Wisconsin.
You know, I think so, but we did bring up the whole point about like Bama was not forced to drive in their week 1 game, and it is 2 weeks in a row now where there are guys running WTFO in that secondary, and West Kentucky.
Don't worry, Tyler Van Dyke will find the Alabama defenders.
I mean, look, West Kentucky couldn't see him. Byron Brown was terrible tonight. Like the amount of wide open guys he just missed. I know the stats are normally good, but like his play was poor in terms of throwing the football. So like they're beatable, I think. Also, I don't think that USF should cause that many problems for you just because you don't have Caden Proctor. Like that is a red flag to me and a warning. I'll tell you, like I have some really nice numbers on Bama at Wisconsin from the preseason. You know, like single digit stuff, good stuff. I don't feel great about it. You know, like that line will probably come 14.
Yeah.
Well,
you know,
I will point out,
like 7.
Wisconsin linebacker Jake Chaney was ejected for targeting in the second half and will miss the first half of the game against Alabama.
Yeah.
Alabama first half. Oklahoma State, Kansas State. They survived.
God, I almost forgot about those games. Like that was like early morning, like holy crap, what's going on? And it feels like a decade ago with everything that happened afterwards.
Yeah, they move up in the rankings. One or the other. Tom, what's our level of concern in games where Oklahoma State favored by about 7.5? They did not play anywhere close to peak efficiency on either side of the football, and Arkansas was just willing to be dumber. I think Arkansas doubled them up in yardage. Is that correct? Isn't it like 600 to 300 or something crazy like that?
648 yards for the Hogs, 385 for the Pokes.
I understand there's like hidden yardage and turnover luck and different ways but good golly. They found a way, though, 39-31 in double overtime. Kansas State gets it done 34-27 with a road win against Tulane. That Kansas State offense was garbage for the first half. And then
at what point
flip the switch?
Sorry, at what point does Pittman remember, because they get to slash the buyout pretty hard if he has a losing record since the COVID year or since the 21 year?
I don't remember.
I mean, that one's going to hurt him in the wallet quite a bit, because I think they will fire him this year because there's a lot of good coaches out there who would want that job, and there may not be all that opening. So Arkansas can get a jump on the market. So they were 7-6 in 22, 4-8 last year. So that's 11-14. There's some kind of thing in his contract where if he has a losing record after a certain date, then the buyout gets slashed. You can't lose this one. And literally, like I don't want to not give Oklahoma State credit here, but Arkansas lost this.
Yes.
With 3 or 4 egregiously bad turnovers, really, really dumbass penalties. I mean, just stupid penalties.
Yes.
Honestly, Oklahoma State should have won this game in regulation because a terrible call that the refs missed. Arkansas jumps off sides with Oklahoma State's. I don't think they're actually going to run a play there. They're just trying to draw them off sides to see if they can maybe run a couple more seconds on the clock and kick a shorter field goal. And instead, they call a false start in Arkansas somehow, which didn't make any sense. Also, this is probably the bad beat of the day. If you had under, you're really, really pissed. And if you had Arkansas plus 7.5, holy cow, dude! I mean, for that to go to double OT and then hit the 2-point conversion and Arkansas not score is a pretty bad beat. I mean, that's just you can't have a 300-yard or damn near it edge on the road and lose that ball game. Like that's
kind of concerned. I'm sorry. I'm kind of concerned about the Cowboys. Like they won this game, but last week against South Dakota State, a very good FCS team, Ollie Gordon averaged 4.5 yards per carry. Today against Arkansas, he averaged 2.9. They have not been able to run the ball in the first 2 weeks of the season. And this is a team who we feel like is built around their running back, like their Heisman candidate, their superstar, Ollie Gordon. And Alan Bowman, I mean, he threw for 326 yards, but it wasn't exactly an efficient or pretty 326 yards. I worry about this team going into conference play.
Who do they play who scares you like this?
Nobody in the Big 12 outside of Utah, like I consider to be scary, but just with the way that they're playing in a league in which I think you're going to have a lot of close games, if you're unable to run the ball, especially because they got Tulsa on the road next week, they'll probably win that. But they open Big 12 play with Utah and Kansas State. Like they might be sitting there 0-2 to start the league, which is going to really put them behind the 8 ball. So I don't know. Like Kansas State did not look great today either. But I think that that's going to be part of Kansas State's life with Avery Johnson because I don't think the kid can throw the ball very well.
Oklahoma State in the Big 12 title race is taking as much money as you're willing to spend for an entire night and putting it on black because they're going to have those 2 games and then we'll decide whether they're in the title race. They either lose them both and we say night-night, they split them, and now all of a sudden we've got some tiebreaker scenarios, or who knows, maybe Mike Gundy has been hiding a rattlesnake up you know where, and he's got this like brand new game plan that he's going to be able to unveil for when the real competition starts. Also, don't look past Mike Gundy to play possum in a non-conference game.
I'm a little worried that Bowman, everything has to be schemed up for him. Like just the pure drop back stuff when they're behind the chains is kind of sketch. So granted, like we have a large sample on it. Like the guy's like 35 years old. So we probably should have known this, but he was not that great. On Kansas State, I think they're still saving the bullets in Avery Johnson's legs, as crazy as that sounds. Like very few design rushes, not a lot in terms of like the zone read game. We know that's in his game because they broke it out last year against NC State in the Camping World Bowl when he had to play when Howard didn't play. So they get that win. I thought Tulane played great. I mean, like that's got to be about as good as Tulane could play. They get screwed on the call. This game likely should have gone to overtime, right? Well, I don't know. Maybe you didn't think they got screwed. I thought it was kind of a bad call, but
what we need to know is what the 85-year-olds at the retirement home are going to ask about those calls at the next Mike Gundy radio show.
So that's where he's hiding the rattlesnake in the bingo machine at the retirement home.
Did Kansas State look clearly superior, like athletically to you, than Tulane?
No, Tulane's got dudes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're in New Orleans. They're always going to have some dudes on that team.
But Arkansas did look clearly superior on a lot of plays to Oklahoma State.
Yes.
Just not up here. They look like clearly inferior up here consistently. But
Oklahoma State is the Harvard of the Southwest. So.
Also, I do think Arkansas missed their center. Kutas is a really good player, and the backup had a lot of just not great snaps. Oh no, UTEP lost to Southern Utah. No, they jumped off sides.
Wait, are you on do you have a UTEP win total? Picks up?
I do not have UTEP win total, but I thought they played hard last week, so I'm kind of following them. The chat is saying that Southern Utah jumped off sides, so they're going to kick again.
All right.